Welcome to our next episode of Dr. Kamini Rao's Masterclass.
I like things to go back in old times because that gives a lot more feel, a lot more history, and it is so much more nicer to see.
You were a doctor, but then you suddenly went into agriculture, horticulture, floriculture, and whatnot. Why this agriculture background?
Dangled a carrot in front of me saying that if I get a farm, would you look after? So I quickly agreed and said, yes, I would. From 81 to 84, the 3 long years, I was also the national champion. My wife Sabina, Rupali and Shifali, my daughters, everybody has been passionate about, the cars.
You shifted your thoughts towards safety, and you created that Rushi safety devices. Now, what made you get into that, and what have you done?
And Brigadier was always little looking at me. He says he's a doctor by profession. What can he do for the army? Because they had so many other technical people. Mrs. Kamala Mahadevan. And she wrote to me, she said, please come and collect your car. And that was a tough time because if I have to collect, I have to pay 40,000. And 40,000 was not in my purview. And I went literally begging all my friends. I had savings of about 13,000. But I did in St. John's, we did have classmates who were all NRIs and things like that. So I collected, 8,000, 10,000, 15,000 like that. Finally collected 40 odd thousand. Drove with a friend of mine with a heavy heart to Chennai. And then I met Madam General's wife, and I said, ma'am, here I've come to collect the car. Then she gave me an envelope and the key and said, you take the car. I said, ma'am, here is the money. He said, no, General has willed the car to you. So that was a moment for me, I said, it was in 80 and then this Asiad thing was coming up and the TVs and things like that were coming. I asked her, ma'am, do you have a TV? She said, no. I said, give me a few hours, I'll come back. Then I went into Madras, I went to Kashi Chetty Street where they used to sell all this little smuggled goods. Then I picked up a TV and I picked up a VCP, video record player, and then I set up the whole TV and the VCP, everything, which costed me around 20,000. And then I said, ma'am, you can watch the TV and I'll take the car. She was so happy. I remember one word what she said. She said, General he gave you his car in his will. But if he had a daughter, we would have given her hand in marriage to you. I mean, it was so touching, so touching. And my journey with vintage cars started then. And that's my first car, my 1937 Sunbeam Talbot 2-liter sports tourer, which was originally owned by General Mahadevan. And I do have some pictures of, originally owned by Lord Mountbatten. Lord Mountbatten driving the car with Lady Mountbatten and Mr. Nehru, Jawaharlal Nehru, sitting in the car and driving around in Shimla. I have 3-4 pictures of that from the archives department. I've got those pictures. And that was my first car in my life, which has brought me to this level of vintage and classic cars. And that sort of made me collect cars. And later, I was also involved with the cars, So the people in Bangalore who are all the founder members, Mr. Ravi Kumar and Balram Kandige, all these people asked me, he said, no, Doc, you are very, very enterprising. You should also sort of help us in organizing event. And way back in 85, I organized an event. I was this 25-year-old guy, working in St. John's. I organized an event called Bring Beauty Back to Bangalore. And then one of our college mates, Jivraj Alwar.
Yeah.
So he was the sports minister. So I called him to be as the chief guest. And the event was at the West End, Taj West End. And I should say I organized the vintage car rally. And that's where I met my wife, Sabina, who was also part of the Taj group, and she was the lobby manager. And I met her on that particular day because I asked her, I was setting up the whole place and I asked her, I said, where's the breakfast served? And she said, it is over there. I said, no. I just instantly said, no, this is the girl that I need to get.
Wow.
Get to know her. I mean, not get married, get to know her. And then later, we got married. So my vintage cars not only has taken me miles, but it also gave me my life partner. So the journey started like this, and I started collecting vintage and classic cars. And also way back in '96, I became the secretary of the Karnataka Vintage and Classic Car Club. And the car club had hardly any monies, so I started curating events. I had a good team of president, vice president, treasurer, and committee members who also helped me. And with my little contacts, we really, brought the club up not only to the level of state levels, we brought it into national level. We took it really high up. We started having events all over Karnataka. And finally, way back in 2015, I thought that I should take this club much higher. And that is when we started planning to get into FIVA. FIVA is the World Historic Vehicle Body. Earlier, the office was in Belgium, in Brussels. Now it has moved to Italy, in Torino. But most of the people are all from France. So Patrick Roulet was the president, Frenchman, very nice person. So I met him at a show in Paris, Retromobile, and then I spoke to him. Then we start applying for the membership in 2013. Sorry, it was not 2015, it was 2013. I started lobbying and then putting these papers of Karnataka Vintage and Classic Car to be the member of the world body. And we became members in 2014. And then, it's only the Karnataka Vintage Car Club. And there was also another club called Vintage Car Club of India from Bombay. There were only two clubs which are part of the FIVA. So Patrick Roulet, the president of FIVA, visited India a few times, and then he said, there is a need for an all India federation, because you need to sort of move this just not in your state, because India is a huge country and you need to do this. And I started sort of putting things together. I had like-minded friends like Vikram Singh, Mr. Daljit Titus, Tarun Takral, Rajesh Malhotra, Guhan, who's the AVM production chairman from Chennai, and Arun Upadhyay, who is also a good friend of Nitin Gadkari from Nagpur, Sandeep Katari. There are a whole lot of friends, Harit Trivedi, there's a whole lot of friends who all sort of helped me in putting things together. And we formed this federation finally in 2017. So it's an all India federation where about 15 clubs, so the main clubs all across India are part of this federation. And there are 4 museums in India, out of which 3 museums are part of this federation. So now we sort of control, or we have 80% of historic collectors from India as part of this federation. So we are able to, have the majority of all the collectors. And we started liaising with the government, lobbying with the government for better legislation for all these historic vehicles. Because the FIVA motto is, preservation of these historic vehicles, promoting this historic vehicle, and restoration of this historic vehicle is the main motto of FIVA. The same thing is being also followed by the Federation of Historic Vehicles of India, FHVI. So the blue badge is the FHVI and the green label pin is from the FIVA. And FIVA in 2016 we partnered with the UNESCO. So we are the official partner of UNESCO. In fact, 2016 was the 50th year of FIVA, and we had a Golden Jubilee drive in Paris. And I also took 4 cars of my cars from England, and we drove. My daughter Rupali drove the oldest car on the show, 1900 D Dion Bouton. I drove my 1930 Delage, which went to Paris after 76 years. So 76 years. So I drove this vehicles, and my friends also from India had come down as our guests, and they all drove. We all took part in the FIVA General Assembly. And now with all this, there's a lot of hue and cry happening in India about the historic vehicle movements, because a lot of people say there's a pollution and things like that. But these historic vehicles are a very, very small percentage. They're not even 0.001% of the Indian vehicle population. And these are all the automotive history of this country. How we treasure the monuments today. These are all the automotive monuments of this country. So we need to look at that, and we need to treasure and save these things and restore these things, so that the generations to come would love to see this and enjoy. What is the automotive history of this country? In fact, India has got a very rich heritage. The Maharajas and the industrialists had one of the finest of finest cars. And unfortunately, most of the cars have been smuggled out of India. It's a shame. But a lot of people who were all, there was a nexus who all sort of plotted and have smuggled out these beautiful, machines out of India. And some of them are all hacked into the junkyard. But whatever that is left, we need to treasure them. And there are a lot of enthusiasts who have come in. There are a lot of youngsters who have been trained now into restoring cars and putting cars back together.
But looking at that, one should not be looking at pollution for these things, because you have a railway museum, for example, and the steam engines, the coal that was being used. So you do have pollution. So I think one has to be looking at the entire scenario rather than to look at these small things. This is a very political statement. So coming on to a political statement, I must note, meeting with Ravi Prakash can end without political statements. What is this Ekta Yatra that you were doing from Kanyakumari to Srinagar now? That was one of the first yatras with the youth BJP, isn't it?
Yeah, I had a little political stint with the BJP. My father and myself got into serious politicking way back in 88. Mr. B.S. Yediyurappa was the president then. So I started as the state Yuva Morcha vice president. My father was the vice president of the main party. But later, Mr. Jagat Prakash Nadda, who is the present president of the BJP, the main party, and also Uma Bharti, who was also the BJP Yuva Morcha president. Under both of them, I served as the national treasurer from 92 to 96. And during that tenure, there was this Ekta Yatra, which Dr. Murali Manohar Joshi spearheaded the Ekta Yatra. It was a yatra to hoist our national flag in Srinagar. So we started this journey from Kanyakumari. In fact, the meetings to fructify these events were held on my farm on the lawn, and where Mr. Narendra Modi ji and Pramod Mahajan ji, both of them were there, and I was there because all three national office bearers, we sat down and we structured this whole thing, and I was in charge of the convoy as a medical doctor, and also I was test driving one of the cars of the Tata Sierra. So when in the journey, in fact my wife made dosas and served Pramod Mahajan ji and Narendra Modi ji on our lawns, going back. And with Modi ji still remembers that. And one of the occasions when we met, he still remembers that. And it's an experience for me. And then later we traveled from Kanyakumari to Jammu, which was almost about 30 days. And Joshi ji used to sit at the back because this had a hop-on seat at the back, in a way he used to sit at the back. Modi ji and myself, I used to drive and Modi ji used to be with me. Like that we have driven for 30 days and we lived together for 30 days. And it's an experience. And then from Jammu, we could not drive up because of the militancy. So only a few selected people were flown to Srinagar to hoist the flag on 26 January. So
That was interesting. What have you not done, Ravi Prakash? I must ask you. Okay, a finger in every pie. I know that you're also a good cook. Okay,
No, I'm not a good cook.
but you did do something.
I
You put-
enjoy eating.
Eating, no, but you did.
I do barbecue.
You do barbecues, because we had come there and I have been a kind of witness to that as well, and I've actually tasted those barbecues. So I think, in a way, you're sort of molded 360 degrees. You've done everything, you've tasted everything, and at the same time, you've never failed to impress. Now at least I should get back to your medical bearings, and now with the Ambedkar Medical College, you've actually, been, spearheading this, and some philanthropy also. So you've been actually, looking at how you can get affordable care to the public as well. Can you give us some amount of the philanthropy that you've been doing?
My father started this Aananda Education and Social Trust, and which in turn started Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Medical College, Dental College and Nursing College. He was a founder person, but I think, when he started, Mr. B. Shankaranand was the Minister for Health and Family Welfare who helped, and Mr. Gundu Rao, who was the Chief Minister then in Karnataka, who helped him. But my father made some wrong decisions and took the wrong trustees, which we are going through a little bit of a hassle now. Hopefully, things should sort of sort out and things should happen, because the institution, what it was started and what it has become, sometimes it is sad to see how it has gone down. But yes, hopefully things will turn around, and then I really want to turn this, because whatever Baba Saheb's message and whatever we started this institution for, I want to take it forward and take it to the people. In fact, during this COVID time, I've been working very hard on plan B, how to sort of save people. We have done a lot of work on this, especially on ozone therapy. Ozone is O3, where oxygen is O2. So ozone is a very unstable gas, but it helps in building up the oxygen levels in the blood, and it revives all the organs. And there's Dr. Milisha, who's the president of the Ozone Society in Bombay, and there's ozone doctors all over India. But unfortunately, I wrote quite a few letters to Harshvardhan ji, spoke to him. I wrote letters to Prime Minister, but everybody puts ICMR in the front, which ICMR is not very keen to look at this alternative thing. But I think today in France, in Italy, in US, in China, everywhere, ozone is happening. It's time that we start thinking out of the box, and we start looking at how it's a very inexpensive treatment. When basically our body, all the organs needs oxygen to survive. And when you get better oxygenation in your system, all your organs will survive better. And that I'm not able to relate. I'm having another meeting this afternoon. I hope I'll be able to convince these friends and be able to set up another ozone center. Because at the end of the day, I need to see that, somewhere we help people, where we can, give them a better life. Me being a medical practitioner, at least the little that I can do to this, once the college comes around, and then we probably start the proper research thing. And in case if I need any help, either from you or from your husband, who's a dear friend of mine, Arvind. In fact, Arvind's dad and my dad were colleagues in the engineering sector. Both were chief engineers together. So there's a lot of things that we can do. And I still feel, we have a lot more time, and whatever time that is there or whatever time that is left, we don't know what would happen tomorrow, but we know what can happen today. So we just need to put in our mind and do it with a passion, do it with, a love, so that, you can go on with it and you can get, at least somewhere where you want to get.
So Ravi, you have dabbled with everything. You've dabbled with anything and everything, and you've never say die. And you've always said, my passion, and I'm going to do it. So challenges have been like child's play for you. But what is it that is within you that says, yes, just let me go and create a road for myself and walk on it? Because you're not saying that there is an opportunity there and I'm going to take that opportunity. There are times there were no opportunities, you created that opportunity, then you snatched that opportunity. So to my viewers who are watching this masterclass, because the tagline of the masterclass is, why be ordinary when you can be extraordinary? And that extra is within you. So I would like you to talk to the viewers and say, what is it that made you extraordinary to dabble in all these things? Being a doctor, they say doctor must only do surgery. Now you've done surgery and much more. My viewers want to hear from you, a message to them.
I would say, friends, my colleagues, my dear ones, near ones, younger ones, everybody, life is what we take and what we, dream about. We need to dream big. And when we dream big, we start, putting our goals at a higher level. And when we put it at a higher level, we need to have the mind to start working for that. When you have that zeal to work, believe me, even if you don't achieve there, you will achieve, you will come here. And we are all lucky today to be here, sitting here, hale and hearty, with good health, and all of you with whoever are with good health or with little bit of a problem, either financially or by health, still we are all very lucky. But the luck can only turn into a better luck if you put in our hard work, if you put in our mind, and if you have a zeal to do it. You just need to have the zeal and the zest in your life, and it will take you a long way. You need to concentrate, and you need to focus yourself, and you need to fix yourself saying that is my goal, that is where I'm going to achieve, that is what I'm working for. When you start setting up goals for yourself without any influence, you just need to tune yourself, you need to train yourself, and you need to get your mind fixed to work hard. And nothing but hard work and sweat, and it could start as a hobby, but if you put in hard work, it will not just be hard work, it will become a hobby, it will become a passion, and when you're very passionate, it becomes an obsession. And when you reach a stage of obsession, that is where you will achieve what you want to achieve. And nobody is devoid of any, you can't say that you can't achieve. Everybody has got that innate quality in their selves. It is just that you need to put your mind. Your mind is a big player, and if you set your mind, and if your mind is clear, your body will help you, your health will help you, and you will find finances. You are right to yourself, you are true to yourself, you will find all the ingredients that is required for your achievement. I feel never give up, and look at a height where you feel that you can't achieve. But you start working towards it, and you will know it is not difficult to get there. All you have to do is just pump in yourself and just keep smiling. There will be always hurdles. Life without hurdles is not a life at all. And when you're running, you can always stumble. But you need to get up and run faster. And that's where you will achieve, and you will enjoy your life. And one thing is very certain: the day we were all born, we all know we are going to go. But what kind of a life we are going to lead between by the time we were born, that is by birth and death, is what is more important. And that is all set in our mind. And we need to set our mind for better goals, for better achievements. And when you start targeting yourself to do good for the mankind, you will always find a way. Kamini herself, it was just not that she went into infertility and all. It was her passion which has driven her to what she is today. We are so proud that, not only a dear friend, but a colleague is a Padma Shri awardee. And we are all happy because what she has achieved. It is not the money that drew her there. Money also makes a difference. But her passion towards it, what made her go deep into all these things and made her an achiever. So friends, it's all in your mind. You just need to set yourself, and you need to work towards it. Thank you.
So there you have it, with Dr. Ravi Prakash, zeal and zest is his mantra to reach his goal. A multifaceted person who's been a doctor, who's been an agriculturist, a floriculturist, as well as a horticulturist, manufacturing safety gear and whatnot. You've heard it all, and his mantra today for you, just get up and do it. No more excuses, and that's what this episode is all about. Dr. Kamini Rao's masterclass.
Madam, garments are not permanent. Parties change, garments change, chief ministers change.
What kind of an experience did you have when you first got into these kind of positions?
Starting from our Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji to Honorable Chief Minister Yediyurappa ji, they have all been grassroots level people. They have been with the people.
So if God gave you a boon and said, Mr. Lakshmi Narayan, you have another chance to live your life, would you like to change this?
One should have the focus. What exactly is your goal? Without having a goal, you can't achieve anything.